All we're doing right now is some counter conditioning here. Obviously, I can collar him, I can muzzle him, I can do all those types of things. We worked on first making sure that he doesn't bite over it. He's obviously not doing that. So now we're doing some simple counter conditioning. Good. So start to create a little bit more positive association with having those things done. Get him a little bit less nervous. He's doing very well. You want to go for that piece? Good. A little less resistance. Now the goal is we want to do this until this little nervousness, shaking, stuff like that goes totally away. Ladies. Good. Getting more and more eager, obviously, to have that thing put on. Good. Those are the first couple that he hasn't tried to avoid. Could be a fluke, could be that we're getting somewhere. We'll see. Here would be getting him to engage the muzzle. So I would hold it like this. Good. And see how I want you to put his face into it? That's actually pretty cool that he did that.
While he's here for your training, are you put collars on him above muzzle?
Yeah. He's just not ready for it yet.
I just didn't know if that was like a goal. Like,
Yeah. No, I think we'll definitely get there. But like all this nervousness still with it, I just got to see that get better. Once he seems more excited to have the collars put on, then we start moving to that stage. But the thing is, and like sometimes, you know, as trainers, we could do this where it's like, you know, we have this picture of like putting the collars on without the muzzle. And it's like, we have to get to it. No, sit. We have to get to it. We have to get to it. But it's like, I have a perfectly fine way of being able to collar him safely right now. You know, it's not even, there's just zero rush for it. So because of that, it's like, I'm just going to keep on keeping on with this. You know, it's perfectly fine. We're all safe. He's getting more and more comfortable with the muzzle, with the collars, things like that. So, you know, once he shows me that he's ready for it, where he's really starting to trust me a little bit more with these things, you know, then we'll cross that bridge. Come. Bowie. What's happening?
Well, I was telling her, like, I'm trying to teach Bowie that people are not put on this earth just to pet her.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Bowie. What's new?
Well, using the little tips that you gave me the other day, she's doing a lot better. I think
Good.
I needed some tweaking as well, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so when you say you've used those tips, you've seen a little bit of progress, what have you seen progress with specifically?
I think loosening the leash.
Okay.
She seems to be paying more attention to me.
Yep.
Doing higher corrections.
Yep.
Makes her like more aware.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just overall paying more attention to her signals.
Have you seen any dogs your last few walks?
We have, yeah.
And what have you seen?
Good when we're passing her on the leash.
Okay.
But if we stop for a bathroom break, that's the question I have for you.
Sure.
You know,
how do you handle it?
Yeah, they
Sure.
come and she's not fully engaged.
Give me an example. Like, paint me a picture right now of a situation you ran into.
Okay, so let's say like we're peeing by the fire hydrant.
Okay.
And a dog comes around the corner.
And is coming down this sidewalk towards
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
I understand. Well, what do you do and what does she do
Mine
when that
just
happens?
to walk away
Okay.
and then like hit the correction, but it's not like a perfect calm. It's like, okay, come on. Kinda.
Okay. What
And
does she do then?
She pulls back and I can hear her, like her nails dragging.
Okay.
You know, on the
Yeah. Does she turn with you eventually, or?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay.
More
So,
distance.
I understand. So just that exact situation, right? So you're here, right? She's going to the bathroom. Dog comes around the corner. Your brain goes to panic. I got to create distance.
Yes.
Which is kind of going, and she's not even really doing anything, which is good, obviously, even when you do that. But what can happen is you could start to trigger her when you do that, right? So what'll happen is like, you're here, we're loose, relaxed on the leash, she's hanging out, sniffing, you see another dog, before she even does anything wrong, you're like, no, you know, like basically like run away, right? And what happens is like, it's like, she's just like, what the heck is going on? And suddenly I'm getting dragged away from something. And then suddenly I see this dog and like, it's a big deal because mom's making it a big deal. So maybe I have to make a big deal. You know what I mean? And that whole cycle happens. And sometimes you could trigger them to start reacting. So your best bet, let's say dog, same situation, she's loose, right? Dog's coming around the corner. Obviously I would want to create a little bit of distance, right? But I'm going to be much calmer about it. And keep in mind that we're not going to correct right away because she's free, right? She's not doing anything wrong.
Right.
Maybe I'll create some distance and I'll tell her, come. If she doesn't immediately turn to come, then no, come, right? Then I'll correct for that.
Okay.
But I'm not going to use the leash to drag her. I need to get her to disengage and come with me. All right, let's do some walking here. We'll see if we see any dogs or anything. Oh, we got one right there. Perfect. Let's go that way. So keep your eye on her. Don't worry about the other dog. And any shift out of this position, you're going to correct. So obviously she's looking, but she hasn't quite made a mistake yet, which is fine. That wasn't too bad. There we go. Perfect timing on that correction. That's exactly where I would have done it as well, because that was right when she got too distracted and started running forward.
Right.
So that was excellent right there. And the level was perfect as well. Really, I mean, the time, obviously the level is very important, but the timing of the correction is so important, which is why, just like you did right there, as soon as we saw those other dogs, your attention's got to be glued on her until you're well past them, because you got to be able to see it right there.
Yeah.
So if you had to rate it out of 10, and before we had our session the other day, her reactivity was at whatever, and now her reactivity is at whatever, what would those numbers be?
So I guess before, it would be like an 8.
Okay.
And then after, probably like a 5.
Okay. And when you say a 5, so a 5 means you're still seeing it somewhere. Where are you still seeing it?
Like
And what is it looking like?
her fur, like, puffs up,
Okay.
and she whimpers,
Okay.
and you can just tell, like, in the way she's walking, there's a little bit more,
Sure.
I don't know, anxiety, if that's what it's,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think she's more territorial if you take, like, the same path every day? And she thinks it's hers, especially if we don't see dogs as frequently.
That's a good question. No, I don't think so. I think the only thing that makes a dog more territorial is by them being able to rehearse being so without our direction, right? So obviously she could be more comfortable in her environment, and especially if she's not getting consistent direction from you or consistent accountability from you, she could definitely be more emboldened to act that way.
Right.
But it's not a matter of, oh, I have to switch up my direction and stuff. It's just like you're doing right now and doing very well. You just have to be much more firm on her. Dogs are 100% opportunists, right?
Yeah.
And that is something that's so important for people to understand, and it's so difficult for them to shift, but it's so important because it's like, you know, again, she came to the facility and she was so good, right? There's like no hint of reaction. She didn't even think about reactivity, right?
Yeah.
But she thinks about it at home, and it's like, why does she think about it at home? Because she's not taking you seriously enough, right?
Yeah.
That's the only missing link. So, but again, like I said, you're doing a very good job of adjusting it. It's just going to take a little bit of just consistently setting that boundary, you know? Just like you gave that correction a little bit ago, consistently giving that correction and that motivating correction like that at the right time. So she continuously realizes every time she goes to try that thing she's gotten away with for a while now, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So if you had to rate those 2 pass-bys we had right there, right? 0 to 10 as far as what you would consider that reactivity. So I have a reference of what your 5 is. What would you consider those?
I feel like the first one where there were the 2 dogs, the one woman, was closer to what I consider a 5.
Oh, really? Nice. That one was good. I thought that was really good.
Okay.
What did you, let me ask you this. So like 5, obviously, you know, that's halfway on the spectrum, right? What did you think was really bad about that?
That she's aware of it and that she feels the urge to like pay attention to it.
Sure.
And she is reacting in her way to it.
Sure.
And I guess my hope is that dogs just exist and she does like passing a tree.
Yeah. No, listen, I understand what you're saying, right? But let's realistically look at this, right? So that, right? Let's say, and this isn't going to be the case, but let's say hypothetically, it literally never gets any better than that. Like that right there, exactly what you ran into, is the worst that it is. Right? That is so not a big deal. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally not a big deal, right? Like, I mean, she looked at, you know, I mean, she was looking at the other dog. She was just a teeny bit stimulated by it, but up until the very end, she was still extremely engaged with you. And when I say engaged, I don't mean looking at you, but I mean she was maintaining position perfectly. She was doing the thing you asked her to do perfectly. You know what I mean? Now, again, will it continue to get better from that? Yeah, I mean, it's you know, obviously as we continue to interrupt and stuff like that, it will get better. But like, dogs are interesting to other dogs, right? And like walking by another dog, though, yes, I don't want my dog engaging with them. It's like, oh, hey, there's a dog there, you know?
Right.
So I would maybe, you know, knowing that, so having that reference of like, you would consider that to be like what you say when it's like a 5, that I would, you know, I get what you're saying, but that to me in my standard of like 0 to 10 was like a 2.
Okay.
I mean, that was pretty good.
Okay. Do you appreciate that she looks at me?
Oh yeah, she's giving you good attention, right? She's like, I see there's a dog there. It's a little exciting, but I know I'm supposed to pay attention to you still. So what we're gonna do though is we're gonna use this as an opportunity in a minute to re-engage her, right? So you know, obviously let her sniff for a minute here, but whenever you want her to focus back in, what you're gonna do is you're not gonna give any tension on the leash. You're just gonna give your come command one time. If she doesn't turn to come towards you right away, we're gonna correct for it, right? That's an important part, especially when, like, obviously she was very quick to go when you told her okay. We need her very quick to re-engage for situations like what we described over by the fire hydrant or whatever. Pretty good. One thing you could do to practice it a little more though is instead of like telling her come and walking like you did, you kind of helped her out with that. What I would do is when she's free, right, she's over there, come, and we want to see her get all the way to you.
Gotcha.
Right? It's not wrong what you did by any means, but that will test her a little bit more.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so I really don't think that looked that bad. I mean, I think that was pretty good in comparison to how bad some dogs are. So here's the thing, right? Like those first couple dogs that we passed by, maybe a 2. You know what I mean? I would consider that maybe a 2. The last 2 we saw, maybe a 3. You know what I mean? Like, so not that bad. She was a little bit more worked up for those last 2, but even that was, the important thing is it was very, very manageable from the standpoint of as soon as you corrected, she fixed herself perfectly. It wasn't even like you were struggling with her to get her to re-give the attention. It was like she got the correction, she's like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do this, right? Now, first thing, what level did you end at? I know I had you increase a couple times.
67.
Okay, so your next couple walks, I want you to start there.
Okay.
right? So since we ended there on this walk, we're gonna start there the next few to make sure that we're ready for the threes that we see, right? And then from there, we'll continue correcting it and see if we can get her even further under control. Now, as you get more and more opportunities to correct for just those little bits of like lack of focus and stuff, which is really what I would call that. That at that point is not even really reacting. It's just lack of focus at that point. She's too distracted, right? So we need her even a little less distracted with it at this point, right? So as you have a couple more walks where you have an opportunity to get her even less distracted by correcting for those things, you'll continue to see that drop down even further, right? What we could do is we could do one more. I can come back out one more time next week, just see where we're at with stuff. You know, just make sure we're moving in the right direction with stuff. I want to make sure, you know, not only like, you know, she did well, obviously, and you seemed confident in how you were correcting, like your timing was really good with everything. I just want to make sure you feel confident as far as where she's at with stuff, obviously. You know, see what we get. Come this way. I think they're gonna. All right, so let's, oh, maybe not.
Because usually she does react to that.
Oh yeah?
That's how I know they usually come this way. Like I pay attention.
Does she know a down command?
She does.
Go ahead and tell her down.
Down.
Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was very good. So sometimes what you can do is if you're ever in like a stop like this and you see something she's a little distracted by and she hasn't really made a mistake yet, but she seems a little bit maybe interested, you could test her with another command like that. So that down right there, and if she was too distracted and didn't lay down, we could correct for that then, you know?
Okay.
So just something to re-engage the focus. But that looked great.
Yeah.
You know, and again, she's no dummy. She knows who that dog is, especially if it's one she's used to reacting at. She's focusing just fine around it.
Yeah.
Okay, good job. Hold on, I gotta jackpot this homie here. Good work, buddy. That was good work. All right, how off was I? I was 3 minutes off. Let's try again. Down. Good boy. Wow. Thor, that was really good. Okay. Let's try again. Thor down. Good. Look, it's like you learned it already. 2 seconds. Here. Okay. Sure, little kibbles. Here's one right here too. There's one here too. Here. Down. Good. See that? It's like it ain't no thing. Ain't no thing, Thor. Okay. All right, so we're rocking some hip swings right now. So this is Thor's first down session. Well, you heard me do it. So what I want is not just that he lays down, but that he fully stabilizes and kicks his hips to the side. If I have a dog that's relatively food motivated, usually what I'll do is I'll add this during the teaching stages of this command, right? So we're at this stage where he's fairly engaged for the food. We're shaping the expectation of what down is. Good. I'm gonna wait until we get that, then I'm gonna mark and reward for it. Okay. By adding that criteria in right off the rip with this, down, you could create like 10x more stability in those down commands. So same deal, we got him in the down, so now I'm gonna take this food lure, hold it to the side, get him to crane that neck kind of awkwardly. Good. And then the second those hips kick, marking with good and rewarding. Okay. Additionally, what this teaches is when, down, When the dog is presented with a high value resource while in position, instead of being too eager to jump up for it, good. Further stabilize in the presence of the resource, and there's a higher likelihood that you'll get that reinforcement. Okay. Thor down. Good. You see he's starting to offer that for me now. Okay. Thor down. Good. Okay. Thor down. Good. Okay. Thor down. Good. I got a little something to say. Everybody always asks me, how do I handle if my dog is sniffing, going to the bathroom, and then suddenly I'm blindsided with a dog, right? So as opposed to being like fully prepared to get your dog situated into a command and regain control, stuff like that. And the short answer to that question is you don't panic. So that situation just happened to me right there. Just got out of the car. Dogs are sniffing. He was peeing, right? Obviously, dogs coming from right here, 15 feet away from me. I've got no opportunity to really get myself prepared, get them into downstays, things like that. So how did I handle it? One, I didn't panic, meaning one, I didn't immediately tense up on the leashes and drag the dogs away or anything. That immediately can create a ton of stress and frustration. Two, I didn't even interrupt him from peeing or anything. I gave him a come command. I got him to come over next to me and stabilize for a moment. I got my e-collar out and turned my level up, and I stayed loose and relaxed, but prepared to address the problem as I needed to. So a lot of this stuff has so much less to do with what do I do, and it has so much more to do with what do I not do to handle these situations. We need some chapstick for his little crusty crusts.
Yeah, that car is towed up. It is 12:50. This is Tracy. Okay.
I really wish you were just like a little less of a weenie still. Like, I feel like I've been so nice to this dog the whole time he's been here, and he's still just kind of a weenie. least he lets me do that. See that? Ain't no thing. Come. Let's go play with some dogs. Like, he just like looks like he just wants to be friends. That's it.
Life.